Today on Beer Scientist, we'll be doing a hoppy amber ale. Let's start with our ingredients. To begin with, we will be doing a mini mash. We have about 5 pounds of grain. We have 1 3/4 pounds of pale malt, ½ pound of Cara Red, 2 ounces of roasted barley, 1 pound of Crystal 90, ½ pound of aromatic, and 1/3 pound of honey malt. We'll also be using 7 pounds of Munich malt extract. We'll be using ½ ounce of Amarillo for our bittering hops, ½ ounce of Challenger and ½ ounce of Nugget for our flavoring hops, and ½ ounce of Amarillo for our final aroma hops. So we'll be using the White Labs California Ale 51. So we've gone ahead and brought this stock pot full of 2.5 gallons of purified water up to 160 degrees. We're going to take our grains for our amber ale, use a coarse grain bag, and seep those grains for 45 minutes. Alright, we just let this sit 45 minutes. We've let the grains mini mash. We're going to go ahead, take this grain bag, and we're going to dunk it a few times. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take this grain bag and set it on this strainer that I have. We're going to take this 2-cup measuring cup and pour 1 of these for every pound of grains we used. So let's go ahead, pour 4 of these over the grain bag, get the rest of those sugars out. So we've gone ahead and poured 4 of those 2-cup measuring cups over the grain bag. We're letting the rest of the sugars just go through. So we're going to go ahead and dump these and bring the rest of the batch up to a boil so we can add in our malt extract. So here you can see we've gone ahead and brought our amber up to a boil. So right now we're taking it off the burner. We're going to add in our malt extract. Okay, so here you can see we have 7 pounds of Munich malt extract. We're going to go ahead and add this all in to our batch and stir it all up and dissolve it all. Empty container. All the sugars are in the stock pot. Go ahead and take it, put it back onto the burner, and turn the heat back on. Okay, we've turned the burner back on. We'll bring this stock pot up to a boil, keeping an eye on it and stirring it every few minutes. So we've gone ahead, brought our amber batch up to a boil. Now, we're using a smaller burner for this amber batch. This is going to be pretty much the roaring boil that we have. We'll add in our bittering hops, which is a ½ ounce of Amarillo. We'll use these bittering hops for 90 minutes. So there we go, we've added in the bittering hops. You can see a bit of the boil now. So we'll let this boil for 60 minutes. We'll come back. We'll add in the flavoring hops. And then after another 30 minutes, we'll add in our aroma hops. We'll come back every 7 to 10 minutes, stir it up, make sure the sugars don't burn. Keep an eye on it, make sure it doesn't overboil. So our amber batch has boiled for 60 minutes with our bittering hops. Now we're going to add in our flavoring hops. ½ ounce of Challenger hops and a ½ ounce of Nugget hops. So here we have our flavoring hops. We're going to go ahead and add these in. For 30 minutes, we'll let our ½ ounce of Challenger hops and ½ ounce of Nugget hops boil. Add that flavor, add those nice hop oils. So we've let our amber ale boil for 30 minutes, letting those flavoring hops, all of those wonderful, flavorful hop oils come out. We're going to add in our last ½ ounce of Amarillo hops as aroma hops. Let it boil for just a second, and then we're going to take it off the burner, put it into the sink, and cool it down all the way down to 80 degrees where we can add in yeast. So we're going to add in the hops. Okay, so we've gone ahead, transferred the amber ale batch into the sink. Now we've submerged a wort chiller, which is pumping cold water through a copper coil, through our wort, sucking the heat out of the batch with this wort chiller. We've gone ahead, cooled off our amber ale down to 80 degrees. Now we're going to take out the wort chiller, take out the thermometer, get our primary fermentation bucket, and pour our batch into our bucket. Okay, so we have our primary fermentation bucket. We're going to go ahead and pour our batch. Now again, this is highly concentrated wort. It's about 2 gallons. We're going to go ahead, bring it up to 5 1/4 gallons with purified water. There we have it. We've added in purified water, bringing our batch up to 5 1/4 gallons. Now we can go ahead and take our initial sampling, get our initial gravity, so we can calculate the alcohol by volume, and then we can add in our yeast. So here we have our thief. We can go ahead and steal a sample. There we go. Here we have a sample. We can use our hydrometer. Our initial gravity is a little high. We can see our initial gravity is actually looking to be 1.080. Now we can go ahead and return the sample. So here we have our yeast. It's our White Labs California Ale yeast. We can go ahead and open it. We're actually going to transfer our back and forth between our primary fermenter and our stock pot. This will aerate the batch. This will just basically splash in and mix up air with this batch, giving us enough air for the yeast to start fermenting. So here we have our lid. We can go ahead and put our lid on. Work it down nice and tight. This is an airtight lid. So here we have our 3-piece airlock. We'll just put it together. And then screw it on into place. There we go. We have an airtight seal while we can still let out the CO2. And there we have it. We've moved our amber ale primary fermenter into our pantry, a dark, dry place. We're going to let it sit here and ferment for the next 7 days before we touch it. So this has been the batch creation of our amber ale.